When it comes to suspension upgrades, one of the most important components is your tires. It's true. A good set of performance tires will make the biggest impact on your vehicle's performance and handling. The question is, which set of wheels and tires will provide the best upgrade for our 2020 Tesla project? But first, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new video. Our Tesla 3 will be autocrossed and do some open track events. We'll also take it to the drags and run it at the ECT Arkansas Standing Mile. For this reason, we're looking for some speed-rated tires. For the track, we're going to max out tread width and go with the BFG Rival S. It's one of the best tires in the 200 treadwear class. A nice looking set of lightweight rims will add, the added bonus to enhance our Tesla's style. If you want to do this right, we go with a wheel measurement tool, and it allows us to basically move a little bit to the back, a little bit to the front with the actual tire that we plan on using. This will help us determine what diameter and width is feasible. First, let's try to fit a 275/35/19 to the front and the back. Okay, so we have an idea about the tires we want to use. We know about the offset, we know about the back spacing. There's a couple different tools you can use. This is the Taylor Wheelwright. It's pretty good. It uses a wire to actually try to simulate what the shoulder of the tire looks like. It's okay, but there's nothing better than actually using the real actual tire that we plan on using in the car. And so for that, we've got the wheel fit. We know that for a 9.5-inch rim, there's basically you can adjust the slides on this thing, you can set the beads on the thing, and we're aiming for 6.470 inches of back spacing on this. So it's gonna be cool. We can go ahead and get this thing loaded up in a tire for you and give you an idea about what it looks like as we go on to the next step. All right, so we have the tool installed inside the tire, but it's not really stretched into place yet. There's a pretty simple way to do that. Just run one bolt down is to use a little bit of leverage, and you pull the flange a little bit sideways like this, and put the bolt in, and it will drop into place. We put a wing nut on the back side, and we'll show you a little bit about what we're looking after in terms of the back spacing. All right, folks, so we have the wheel fit on the car. Now we have a lift here, so why are we doing it with a jack stand? Well, the reality is it's gonna be what you're probably using when you're gonna go do this job, is a typical jack stand located underneath the control arm. The other deal is if you put this thing up on a lift, the wheels are drooping down and it's not super accurate. If this car was down on the ground, and I've got 3 corners of the car down right now, this would actually be much, much closer to the top of the fender. I've got about 4 inches here, 4 fingers. If this thing was totally down on the ground, it'd be closer to 1.5 to 2 fingers. So that is something to be aware of. Now it's hanging up even with a jack stand on the control arm. I've got this distance. There is camber gain. So in other words, even though this is sticking out a little bit right now, when it comes to getting it down on the ground, it would actually be pulled in a little bit, closer to this surface. So the main thing about this is we're going to be able to measure the clearance of the tire to the spindle inside, and we're going to be able to turn it from lock to lock to see if it has any clearance issues with the inner fenders or potentially the sway bar, and we're going to try to give you some detailed shots of all that. So we have basically our tool set for about 31 millimeters of offset. There's slides here on the tool that you can adjust on the fly, but it may take you a couple times of on and off to get things right. So where is the tight spot that we're finding when the wheel is basically straight forward and back? This lip right there on the tire is your rim protector, and that's actually very, very, very close to the inside of that spindle. It's about 3/8 of an inch away. That's okay. There is flex when you're going around a corner, a little in, a little bit out, but 3/8 of an inch is enough, and that's going to assure that this surface is not poking any more than it absolutely has to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the wheel, and as you can see, we've got about 1 inch of clearance in here, and we're going to go around the back, and we're going to see that the inside of that tire back there has adequate clearance to the inside of the fender. And now we're going to turn the wheel all the way to the left. And as we can see, we still have adequate clearance, to the inside of the fender well there. And we have an absolute ton of clearance out here. So we have a workable combination here that we would not have known if we did not have the wheel fit device to, give us a lot of visibility of where things are the closest. All right, so we'd set the tool up for a 19 by 11 and a 50 millimeter offset, which is basically 19 more millimeter than what we had, so it all goes toward the back. One thing we want to mention is there is a small bolt that holds the rotor on. You have to remove that before you bolt this tool on, so it is absolutely flush with it. We are successfully going to be able to fit a 305/30/19 on the back of this. All right, so this is with our 305/35/19 tire. It's kind of hard to see, but this angle here is our tight spot right there. And as you can see, I can get my fingers through there, so probably just a little over 1/2 of an inch of clearance is perfect as intended. And as mentioned, that's actually a little bit of a soft spot. That is not a hard frame. So right there, this is towards the front of the car. Turns out awesome. All right, so we knew that we needed a 19 by 9.5 if we wanted to run a square setup. We were aiming for a 31 millimeter offset to be able to get as tight as we could to the spindle inside. The closest wheel we found was actually a CF5V Forgestar, and it was in a 29 mil offset. So 29/31, what's the difference of that? Between those two, it's 120 thousandths, meaning that the outside face of this wheel and tire is poking out another 120 thousandths versus, being inset, where we wanted it to be. In the back of the car, it's looking great. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is go ahead and put it down on the ground, and you'll get an idea of what we have for wheel gap out here. All right, so we dropped the car on the ground, and we went ahead and ran it forward and back just a little bit to try to get the suspension settled. You'll notice that with our Eibach Pro Kit that we have about an inch worth of clearance. And we mentioned a little earlier that you've got a choice with an 18 by 9.5 of going with a 275 width tire or a 265. Now, we went with 275s because we're autocrossers and we want to go all the way with it when we try to go fast. If you don't have adjustable control arms with it, you're probably better suited with a 265, which is going to pull it in 5 millimeters per side. It would definitely fit a little bit better. Right now, there's a little bit of a tight spot. You only notice it when you're really, really hard on the brakes. And if you have a very squared off shoulder, like our BFG Rival S's, it does chew a little bit of the edge of the tire off right here with the 275. So we're going to actually fix that, and we're not going to fix it by going back to a 265. We are going to fix that by going with an adjustable camber control arm in the front, so we can get something more than about 0.6 degrees of negative camber. We're going to go for probably roughly 2 degrees of negative camber on that, and that's going to fix that problem right up. All right, so we have a choice of lug nuts here on the car, and we're going to go one direction versus another. I want to explain why. These are the factory lug nuts. This is an aftermarket lug nut. Now, if you look at them, they're pretty similar, right? I mean, they've got the same conical seat, but this one is about 300 thousandths longer, and it is threaded all the way out to the very end of it. This one is only threaded about maybe 75% of the way through. So in reality, they both have the exact same amount of thread engagement, but it just looks odd. So to just have all of that unused thread, just hanging out there in the wind. So we are going to go for now with the factory lug nuts. Life is good. Hey folks, thank you for joining us today for our wheel and tire measurement video. Hopefully you got some of the basics of wheel width, back spacing, offset, diameter, some of the pinch points, little tips and tricks that can help you determine really what wheel that you need. When you go to bolt everything onto your car, it's exactly as you hoped, and you're going to get the performance that you're looking for. Once again, please hit like and subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff, and follow us along as we take the car out to the track and go a little faster.